Hello, everyone. This is the Bones Horror Podcast, and this is episode 81, I think. The Evil Dead. Sorry, it's been a little while. We were meant to do one on Sunday or Monday, but we had some kind of technical issues with throats and sore heads. But we'll go into that in a minute. So episode 81, The Evil Dead. Reason we're doing The Evil Dead, we did the remake and we revisited it, and it did amazingly well on the YouTube channel, like ridiculous. So let's continue to do that. So we thought, well, we'll do the 3 Evil Deads. We've never done them on a podcast. I'm not sure if everyone's seen them. I know I have, and I probably Larry has, but Jess, Ewan, no?
I've seen the first one.
Okay. So it should be interesting to talk about, and I think they're great films. So what have we been up to this week? Watching lots of films, loads of football. Been watching my local team lose a lot. That's pretty much it, really. Nothing too exciting. Not even any games I can get into at the moment. There's just nothing. I'm kind of stuck on Dying Light 2. It's either glitched and it's doing my head in. So I'm stuck on that at the moment. So yeah, not doing too much. Let's hear about what Larry's been doing for the last week.
Bugger all. So obviously, like, watching.
You trying to set fire to your bed or something? What's on your bed behind you?
Oh no, that's a fan.
Is that a heater? Oh, I thought it was like a heater. I was not looking at it. That's a bit worrying.
Yeah, I just pray every night, just. No, so I was meant to be going away, and then a few days before, I had a very, very bad throat problem where I don't know what caused it, but I must have eaten something, and not only did I scar the complete back of my throat, something like got lodged in my throat, so I couldn't eat or swallow at certain points or breathe. So I was rushed into hospital and had to have a camera shoved down my nose. Had to have X-rays of my stomach. As well,
or not?
No, I wish, but no.
Did you watch the footage?
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's a new meaning. They say explore and find yourself. That really brings new meaning when you get to see something like that. But no, I had to have like X-rays and stuff, and I can actually swallow now and actually like breathe again. But next week I have to go into, I don't know if it's the hospital or the GP, but I have to go into one of them, put to sleep, and then have a bigger camera shoved down my throat into my stomach. So,
wow, that doesn't sound pleasant.
Nah,
do they video it though? Will they record it? And
oh no, yeah, I got to see a bit. They had like a it was weird. The best way to explain it is imagine like a gaming headset. They literally brought out a huge helmet, but she didn't put it on, and it was just this really thin, long camera. And she was very much like a really lovely doctor, and was really like generous because I think she knew that I hated it. But I had to have this I had to have this spray, and it basically numbs all inside of your nose, your throat, so you just can't. It's a weird feeling. You could.
So it wasn't that bad then. It wasn't.
No, if it wasn't for the spray, but she tried it first time without the spray, and it's literally like somebody.
Did they spray your bum as well?
No, I asked them not to. I just wanted to feel all of
that. Well, it sounds horrible anyway, Larry. I had a couple of operations, and I remember waking up because they stick something down your throat, don't you? And it takes days and days to go away. It's not very nice.
Yeah. Luckily, the thing that's actually, I think, at the back is reduced, but it's the scarring on the
They
back
say
of the
what it
throat.
was, whether like you maybe swallowed a hedgehog or something like that, or
Just a full hedgehog.
Yeah, like
No,
a little one, obviously, not
just an infant. That's what I do on my nights.
I haven't been to the West Country in a while. I didn't realize that's
oh yes, this the in thing at the moment. No, they honestly didn't. That was what was the most frustrating. And I mean, I got into hospital around 4, didn't leave till around 2:30 in the morning.
wow.
It was just constant X-rays and having like blood taken and stuff. I think the worst thing, though, and I know it sounds a bit dramatic, but the worst thing I hated more than the whole throat and nose thing was actually the catheter that they put in on your arm. I hate that because it always feels like you can't. I like you just can't bend your arm or anything.
Yeah,
And it's,
I thought
hate
catheters
that
went
feeling.
downstairs. Is that a different?
I might be getting the wrong word, but I want to say that they mentioned that word a few times.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it helps you. Catheters help.
It's an A24 movie.
It empties your bladder, doesn't it? That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they mentioned it. There was again, it was just a very long evening, and I'm looking forward to hopefully they can just do this next one and it's done. You know, so I don't know what'll come from it.
Dan's put a camera down his throat. That's a movie no one wants to review.
I do.
I do, Dan. I think it could be Dan's hot pick.
I put it straight on top of Culture Whisper film page.
I'll get the footage and we'll just show it on the podcast.
So Ewan, what have you been up to?
Yeah, so I had a weird one this week because it's it's kind of like I would never recommend someone to be both a TV and a film editor at the same time because it's just there's just so much to cover all at once, especially nowadays with TV and everything. There's a lot. So often I have to schedule things around and move things around all the time. And I was invited. I was invited to this big sort of snazzy event held by Sky called Up Next, which is like this a big event. I think it was at the Theatre Royal in Drury Lane, where it was like proper red carpet thing. So lots of celebrities and lots of people, and you're basically there to watch like literally what's coming up next for Sky and what they're doing in the next few months.
Wow, that's cool.
But I decided not to go because it was funny. I was feeling anxious about it anyway, but the sort of various things like I got like they sent me a reminder about it, and on the reminder it said like gave me the schedule, the itinerary of what's going to happen and stuff. But then it said the dress code was smart/glamorous, and I would have loved to see that. I'm really not a glamorous person in any capacity, and that sort of scared me a bit. But the thing is that I had to. My boss gave me a few more tasks to do in the week, so I figured that my schedule would be too full. I mean, mainly because I'll get this later, but I watched the Top Gun Maverick earlier this week, so I thought it'd be a good idea to watch or to rewatch the first Top Gun movie. But the funny thing is that I watched it on the night of this Sky event. So it was almost like I could just sort of imagine the excuse that I can't come to this event because I'm rewatching Top Gun and stuff like that. So so the next day, like after the event happened that I didn't go to, I wasn't really thinking about it at all. And then I sort of like 10:30 in the morning, I received a package. I was sort of expecting a suit for this wedding that I'm going to. So I thought it was that, but it wasn't. I opened it up and it's this really posh array of TV themed cocktails sent to me by Sky. So immediately I open the box and it says Up Next, and it's like, thank you for coming to our event. And then I just spent the whole day feeling enormously guilty, especially because I remembered 2 weeks before that they'd asked me what my address was to send me a package of some sort, and I just completely forgotten about it. So I was just like, oh, I just feel so guilty. So now I'm actually drinking one of the drinks that they sent me, basically free. So I'm currently drinking House of the Dragon, themed around the Game of Thrones prequel, which says here cognac, elderflower liquor, salted vegan honey cordial, and spice tincture with cinnamon, nutmeg, and ginger. I've had a few sips, and it's already gone like fireworks in my head. So and I've only had a few sips, so
that's
it's
what you
sort of
want.
Like,
So this could be quite an entertaining episode, really.
Might be, yeah.
How many of those you got? Different ones?
Well, I've got about 4 of them. Well, 4 including this one.
Okay.
But this is like, I'm not sure if this is meant to be one drink. I think this is meant to be about 3, but I've just poured it all in one glass. So we'll see what happens.
Brilliant. How about you, Jess? I know you had a head injury. You want to discuss?
Oh yeah, I was putting on my shoes and didn't realize how close I was to a counter. Went to stand straight up.
Oh. That's horrible as well, because the surprise is like one of the worst as well.
Sharp pain.
Yeah.
It was like burning, and it was like hot for like 3 days.
God.
But before that, I went to Brighton for a weekend. That was really nice. And then I had a week off work.
Brighton, nice.
Yeah, I went up to Brighton. Spent most of the weekend sat on the beach. Forgot to take sun cream.
Oh,
nice.
And it was because it was quite breezy on the beachfront. Obviously I didn't notice that I was burning. So yeah, I must have been sat in a position that it was just the right side of my body that got really burnt. So like just my leg and my back of my hand was very red and peeled. But yeah. And then I spent the week doing basically nothing after that because I was exhausted. And then I just went back to work on Monday.
Oh.
Yeah. So boo work.
But you did get to watch The Evil Dead, so that's good. That's good.
Yes.
I'm hoping you enjoyed it. So
it was interesting.
Right. So The Evil Dead, which is one of my most favorite films of all time. It's on a 10 boner level, and I don't just throw them around. So that is where it is. So it's 1981. Budget is 375,000. I heard. On the budget, it says 2.7 million or 29.4 million, which could mean that has that gone up? Is that at the time, and then now it's 30 million? I don't know. I know it's been reshown at the cinema a few times. I would have thought it had done 30 million over the years.
Yeah, well, I think it did really, really well when it came out, and I think like Stephen King saw it and said it's like the best horror film in years. So I think that obviously boosted publicity. So I think
he loved it, didn't he?
Mm.
So it was directed by Sam Raimi of Spider-Man, and what else is there? Doctor Strange, wasn't it?
Drag Me to Hell as well.
Drag Me to Hell, another one we've done on here.
Yep.
What else have I seen? Yeah, I remember the Spider-Man. Don't know what else he's done other than that. He's done
a few like films after Evil Dead. Like he did 2 films that kind of went under the radar. Did one that I know that was straight after Evil Dead that didn't do very well, that had a budget from a big studio, and it wasn't received very well, and then obviously went and did Evil Dead 2.
Yeah, so Dan's asking Jess to use protection now. Thanks for that, Dan. Yeah.
Wait. He did say the sun is our enemy. Just for our audience. The sun is our enemy.
Just random. Just use protection.
So it was starred Bruce Campbell. I think him and Sam Raimi were good friends and worked on. I don't know if they wrote it together. I think they wrote it together. So he starred as Ash Williams and Ellen Sandwich as Cheryl. Is it Sandwich or Sandvice? Let's just say Sandwich. So as Cheryl, Rotten Tomatoes, what are we thinking?
I hope it'd be high, because I think it's really good as well. I'd
And
say
then
maybe
because-
80s.
I reckon it might be in the 60s. I just saw it.
Oh, there you go.
95% rotten. Now, normally at the beginning, I would say a few words like a log line. So I'm going to do that now. So in 1979, a group of college students who, during a weekend getaway, find what's that? Sumerian? There's a Book of the Dead in an old wilderness cabin they've rented. So basically, these guys are going on holiday, basically, to some old cabin in the woods. How they rented it, I don't know. Whether it was a local kind of holiday firm or how it was owned by one of them or an auntie or uncle. I don't know. I didn't really go into it too much, but they end up at this crappy old cabin. And it is a very dusty old cabin, isn't it? For a weekend away. I would, I've gone to a few places like that, but not that look like that. Nice cabins. Like we went to Holland once and near Amsterdam, and we hired somewhere a nice cabin, but it was nothing like that, to be honest.
But it's also a real cabin, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a bit dusty, to be honest.
Yeah,
it was literally a cabin in the woods that they had like, because I know that filming the film was extensively difficult. Because obviously,
it sounded like a nightmare.
Well, there was a lot of thinking on the fly. So I know that they want to achieve like some of the shots of the running through the woods, of the evil going through the woods. They literally just mounted a camera to a big board of wood and and ran through the woods with it. Which again, looking back, you'd think that surely wouldn't work, but it holds up today as being as one of the most iconic shots in that film.
But I think that's part of why it sort of has a legacy or has the legacy it does, because it was one of the cheapest horror films ever made at the time, I think. And I think that you can see through like the history of film that it's about it's kind of like opening up how many people can make movies. Like through the decades, you can sort of see that happening, like towards today with like just digital cameras and everything. And you can sort of see in Evil Dead, even though spoilers, I'm not a big fan of the film, but I do admire the obvious effort that went into making it, especially obviously with their lack of money, lack of experience. They still pull off something that is, acceptable. And it's sort of and I quite like that, even though the sort of the sort of behind the scenes stories I think are more horrific than the actual movie. Just sort of like sleeping 12 to a room and just sort of and just getting up and just having long days and just
they stayed in the cabin, didn't they? Like a lot of them, because it was just obviously filmmaking. It's like you got times to keep and you want to stay on a schedule. That a lot of them just stayed in that cabin altogether, which is mad.
And I sort of worry that we I wait because for people who don't know, Lawrence and I went to university together to study film production, and I feel like that there are a lot of cases where people looked to Evil Dead to justify certain bad conditions that they were put in. Never. I was just want to say, for any aspiring filmmakers, don't do that. Do it the proper way.
You try like you those like the reason it's called a shortcut is obviously if you're like down to the wire or you think okay then I always say like okay maybe go with that do it, but on the consistency, if you look at Evil Dead, the consistency was literally all right. Let's live in some hell. Let's live in hell, and let's just make it. And it's tricky, but no, that's maybe not the first forefront of when you're making a film.
If they didn't have any money, though,
it's what is it called? Guerrilla. It's like very much down to guerrilla filmmaking on some of it.
Yeah, if you didn't have any money.
It's just there are just certain things that probably you wouldn't be allowed to do these days
now.
Especially in terms of sort of health and safety. I think there was a problem where I think there's a shot in the film where it's from the point of view of one of the ghost dead things that sort of like goes through a window, and apparently I think one of the actors who was sort of in front of the window got like cut by that, and obviously that I don't think that would happen now, or at least if it did, you get sued for but it's
they put a big to achieve that effect as well again, but just like guerrilla filmmaking, they literally attached a wooden pole in front of the camera out of shot, so as it would push forward, would just smash the window. Again, creative, very creative, and it works for the shot. But yeah, like today, there'd be way, health and safety these days is just
you wouldn't even
tip top.
Would you even be allowed to use gorillas these days to shoot movies? That's what.
No. After the act of like 1995, you can't anymore.
Yeah, you can no longer use gorillas. Yeah. Cheap labour. Yeah. But it looks like, I don't know. It has a great feel to it. I think, like they all lived it. That's to me how it feels, like a bunch of students. That's how it felt. A bit like Swamp Ape, you know what I mean? It's got the same feel. Bunch of students making this film. It's dangerous. I mean, there's pepper armies flying all over the place.
I mean, when I went to see Lawrence, I saw Lawrence.
I showed you a bit of it.
Yeah, he showed me bits of Swamp Ape. And from the bits that I saw, I will have to conclude that, despite the fact not liking Evil Dead that much, I think Evil Dead is much, much, much better.
It's a better film. Yeah, I would agree. It is a better film. Yeah.
God, I remember that. Yeah.
I'd love that. Jess, how are you feeling about this film? Come on.
I'm not sure.
Come on. Considering it was 19, whatever it was, 80,
yeah,
81.
That's the thing. Watching it as, seeing it from the perspective of someone watching it back then, I think it was, good for its time. It's still like what's it called? Like the CGI where they use like the stop motion, like the claymation.
Yeah.
So that still just looks gross. So it still works. I don't know. I kind of got lost a few times. Like, I don't understand how...
This doesn't confuse me, this film. You'll be shocked.
Oh, I got confused. So that's a change. What was it? Right at the end, I must have missed something, but I don't know how he, wins. But he doesn't win. Or how he wins.
Have you... You haven't seen the second... You haven't seen the second one yet, have you?
No.
It's a direct, follow-on. So...
Oh, okay.
This one doesn't end the film.
Yeah, isn't it like a remake sequel, but with like $1 million as a budget?
Well, yeah. So I sent it into the group chat.
I saw that. I watched it.
Yeah, it's long story short, they made the first one, and then obviously as it got, put on and pushed forward, I think it was owned. The rights went to a company, a studio, and when they wanted to do the second one, they didn't own their own rights to the film. So,
really?
so Sam Raimi very much was like, right, well, people who don't necessarily go, I'm going to go see the first one and then see the second one. They just go and see, this new film. So he very much remade the first film in the opening of the second one, which is a very condensed, I think it's 10 minutes, maybe not even that, 5 minutes of just quick. This is what you've missed with new actors. A bit of a more sustained budget. And then there is the, where this one ends, the first one, it then picks up straight after that first recap, which I think they were a bit pissed because obviously you don't really want to do that. But I actually think it works in favor of the series because it's kind of meant to be all over the show, which is what I love about it. Yeah. I really do.
It's quite interesting as well with the first Evil Dead. You can sort of see the kind of beginnings of a talent in filmmaking. Even though I've slated Sam Raimi a few times on this podcast, you can see. I mean, I admit the cinematography in Evil Dead, especially for their budget, is really, really good. You can see how much, how meticulously he's planned it, which is pretty much the difference between a good low budget horror film and a bad low budget horror film. And the editing was actually surprisingly good. I can't remember the name of the editor, but assisting her was Joel Cohen, of the Coen brothers, or who would eventually become the Coen brothers. So, and you can kind of see it's a really well, especially the scene where Bruce Campbell was giving his girlfriend the I can't remember what it is now. Is it like a ring or some sort of brooch or something?
Yeah.
necklace. Sorry, yeah. And there's that sort of like cutting between the eyes, and it's sort of it's a really well coordinated sequence from that point of view. However, it's that thing where it's just I feel like I know exactly what's going to happen. I mean, I'm not just saying that because this is the third time I've seen it, but it's kind of just you're not really expecting anything different. You're not because it's a very sort of like surface level horror movie, and I don't say that as an insult. It just is, and it's just sort of you can't really penetrate anything else out of it. It's aside from how certain scenes are done. I think the monsters or the zombies or whatever you want to call them were done very well. I thought the makeup was done very well. And they were quite scary. I feel like we didn't get enough of them though. I feel like there were just lots of sort of empty moments where Bruce Campbell is just sort of like standing in a weird way by the wall, and you just sort of like. I mean, that's nothing. The performance. I mean, understandably, I suppose the performances are dog shite, but it's sort of
what. I knew that was coming as soon as you said that.
Show me your glass.
Show me your glass.
Oh dear.
And also with the sort of there's, I mean, on main the dialogue is sort of again, it's the kind of dialogue that people nowadays take the piss out of, if you know what I mean. Like, if they want to make a movie that looks like a cheap horror film, they do the sort of dialogue that I don't know if it's meant to be taken seriously in Evil Dead, but it's sort of that's the sort of concept they take. And to be honest, I got again, this may be because this is the third time I've watched it, but I did find myself getting bored quite a lot because I was just like,
you just got to enjoy it. I think you just need to sit there and just don't take it seriously.
But that's my point. I couldn't just sit there. I was like, I've got to go to the toilet now.
You haven't seen you and Jess haven't seen the second or the third.
I think they'd enjoy that one a bit more.
Well, I was going to say the second one. I think the first one was very much like first time like horror, and it's got a bit campy here and there. Some of the shots and acting, but I feel like it was very much this is horror, whereas the second one very much went to it embraced that campiness and made it more of a comedy horror.
You'll get Ash Williams then. He's not really shown himself too much yet.
No.
So obviously our Swedish chef's got a question for Jess. How did you get lost in an Evil Dead movie?
Honestly, I think I might have lost some brain cells.
When you hit your head. Yeah.
That's why.
Did you watch it straight after you banged your head? That's not a great idea.
It's also interesting, like in terms of like the time between when we've all collectively seen the remake of Evil Dead and this version of Evil Dead.
Yeah.
I will say I haven't seen the extended cut, which I know, Lawrence, you tend to sort of spearhead in that way.
We should have even watched the other one. Load of old bollocks, apparently. The original one.
Well, if you're gonna watch one, I just suggest to watch the extended because it cuts out because now you've when you rewatch the original, there are aspects of it that really come to the forefront. Chainsaw. Little things like that, which they completely took out. So I just, sorry to the viewers if I've slated your copies.
Yeah, from the thing that what I got is that I much prefer the original Evil Dead to the remake, which is a very interesting dynamic because I think with all the original's problems, it still sort of casts a certain atmosphere. It's still there's still so much hard work going into it, and I think a part of the point in some ways of watching the Evil Dead is to watch a cheaply made horror film, and this is what you get. It's the same reason, when you watch Easy Rider, which is a great film, but you notice all the cheap things, and that's part of the excitement in some ways. But when you watch the Evil Dead remake, which has got so much money behind it and so little creativity involved, at least the version that I saw, you sort of wonder what's gone wrong, and it's weird to remake a movie that was made with only something like $360,000.
Well,
It just seems strange to me.
I feel like that's one of the reasons, though, they did it, because I think a lot of audience members were, rightfully so. I mean, I was one of them. I remember thinking, oh, Evil Dead 4, I'd love to see a return to that. I want to see what they do with more, updated kind of cameras, effects. And I like the remake, reimagining, whatever you want to call it. And I think that Sam Raimi kind of understood that. He was like, okay, let's give an audience like the really serious version, like there's a reason why they can't leave the cabin. In the first film, I used to always think that, like, why don't they just leave? Like, why don't they just run away?
The forest won't let them leave, Lawrence.
No,
the forest won't let them.
That's one of my favorite bits, though. It's so, like, watching it back, I love this film so much, but it's where he comes, the Ash's friend, who's like kind of being like kind of torn up by trying to leave, gets back in, and the dialogue is just so cheesy, like really like forced. I'm just like, they won't let us leave. But again, I guess that's the thing of the times, isn't it? But I know that obviously they then went on to kind of satisfy audiences by giving them Ash versus the Evil Dead, the TV series, which I think lasted 3 seasons.
3 series, amazing. Have you seen?
Yeah, no. Yeah, I love them. I think they're great.
Series in the hospital where he's got the dead body on.
With the bear kind of
with
creature thing.
He's got his balls on his face, I think, at one point.
I think I'm trying. I do. I remember the imagery. I'm just thinking
it's one of the funniest episodes I've ever seen in my life. It is amazing.
But they're making.
Jess, you need to watch them. They're so funny. So
yeah, they're making one more though, aren't they? It's like Evil Dead. I don't know, like something, but it's set in an apartment block with a mother and her children, or a babysitter and children, and the whole apartment block gets taken over. So I'm interested.
And they get visited by Ed and Lorraine Warren, I would have thought. So that should be really good, mate.
Oh,
I can see it now.
Yeah, I can ironically see that. And then at the very beginning, it goes based on a true story.
True story. Exactly.
Kind of.
Jess is on mute still. I don't know. Is that Velociraptor?
Yeah, I was going to say, I heard like
right. The problem I have every time is every night there is some guy who drives up and down my road the loudest car every day and every night, and it's insanely loud.
Is it one of those? Is it one of those cars where he's got he's built or bought a special engine just to make it sound loud?
Like, special exhaust.
Yeah, the exhaust like explodes every 2 seconds.
Is he going up and down as well? Does he like drive down and then he just turns around at the end and just goes?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
I can imagine the guy just a guy in sunglasses thinking he's really cool, but he doesn't have anywhere to go, so he just goes up and down this road.
He's watching the podcast right now, just like
like trying to see if he can hear himself.
Tries up and down.
Oh, right. So we're 35 minutes in nearly.
Jesus.
Yeah. So for me, I just tell you a couple of things I like. The whole what's stuck in my. I watched this when I was quite young, so I was probably only 11 or 12 maybe when I watched this. That trapdoor scene with I'll just get it up on here. It's like demon or whatever it is. She's been possessed, hanging out of the trapdoor. And they chain it up. That just done it for me. I think it's just amazing, and I love that so much. It's just brilliant. Every time I see that scene in any of the films, I think Evil Dead 2, there's more trapdoor stuff.
Yeah, there is. It's really good
stuff. So good. And I don't think any other film can ever do that again because it's literally.
Although I did find it funny where they because again, as I say, it's really well shot and everything and well edited and whatever. But there's a shot of a sort of POV of the person in the trapdoor, and the gap between the floor and the trapdoor is so massive. And he's like,
just get out.
But
But it's so good. So I love that, and obviously we haven't touched upon the kind of tree scenes yet. And I think it's worth discussing, though. That was banned in the UK because of that. I think maybe some of that
first scene.
Yeah, with the tree, they call it a rape tree scene.
Yeah, I didn't know at that point what direction we were going in.
Yeah,
but you get that in the remake, don't you? There's a very similar.
Yeah,
scene.
yeah.
They make it more. They make it more like
less sexual,
I guess.
I think.
Yeah, they try and make it a little bit more like, oh, okay, it's trying to like infect her, and it's obviously let's just say go in a certain way. Whereas this one really hammers home that this tree is
and I think that's
a
why
bit of a frisky tree. Yeah.
I think that's why they rated it like the sort of certificate system in America is like RNC 17 and then X, which is like mostly for porn movies and Clockwork Orange. So, but I think on the basis of that. On the basis of that tree rape scene, I think they rated it an X. Which
they allow now, though, don't they? Like in most copies that you get, whether it's the UK or whatever.
It's considered fine now, I think, but it's still rated like an 18. I think.
It's definitely
an 18.
First one's an 18. I think the second one in the UK, I want to say, is either still an 18 or got bumped down to a 15. I think it's still an 18. The third one. Is the third one a 15? I think the third one.
Second one's a 15.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
They just said banned.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it was banned.
It was banned for a while,
but I think they got around that by cutting the tree scene out, or at least
cut a bit out of it.
Yeah,
they cut around and like chopped and changed it, and now it's. And because obviously, I guess the date of it now, and looking back, I think that
Yeah, I mean, it's quite interesting reading certain certain modern day articles around it, because I read one in the Guardian that said it was that the film was quite misogynistic. I mean, not only because of the tree rape scene, but because the only people who are affected by the sort of monster zombie thing are the women of the cast, which is quite an interesting angle. I don't think the film. At least I don't think it's intentionally misogynistic.
No,
but it's but you can't look back. It's like it's only the women effect. It's the woman's being raped by a tree, and you just sort of like it's a bit it's slightly awkward. But again, I don't think it's intentional, and I don't think it's something to worry too much about. But it
never crossed my mind. It didn't even cross my mind. I don't me.
I mean, neither me really. I didn't really consider it to be misogynistic either. But it's like I don't know, these sort of outside thoughts. It's like, oh yeah, that's a bit. That's a bit. I mean, I did watch the tree. I remember watching the tree rape scene the first time and not being too affected by it. I think I watched it when I was like 15. But like now, it's a bit like, not entirely sure. Yeah.
Well,
horrible.
One huge thing though this film did for horror is it kind of set the precedent for the typical cabin in the woods, haunt. And another film that I really love called Cabin in the Woods, very heavily inspired by this. I think nails on the head of what
we done
most other films. I believe a while ago.
The Bones have done it, but I don't know if you guys have done it.
No, I was going to say. I think it was a while back.
Episode
great film.
It was good. So I've got not much else to say, and I'm really kind of interested in Jess's feelings on this, because I think it's just amazing, Jess, and I'd be disappointed if you didn't like it.
I did not like it. I did not like it. I just
he will have no daughter if you rate this badly.
That is it.
Like
done.
Rape, so I was already disowned. Yeah, I think. I mean, to be fair, this film, like, it's gonna sound weird because I think when most people say this, it means they didn't like the film. Okay. But my favorite scene in the whole film is the last scene, like the last shot.
Yeah.
I thought that was awesome. Like, just through the house, like through the woods, through the house, and then he turns around. I thought it was brilliant.
How do they do that? Like, the scenes where it's all going really fast, and is it literally someone just running with a camera and then speeding up?
Camera attached to something, isn't it?
It's attached to a big wooden, like almost like plank, which 2 people are holding, and it's obviously it's sped up, I imagine, after. But with like crashing through the doors and going through the house, it's a combination of both, I believe. So it's 2 people running with the camera with a wooden pike on the end that when they push forward, you can't see it, but it's like underneath, out of frame, things, which opens doors, smashes windows.
That's clever stuff, really.
Thinking on feet, and like, again, guerrilla filmmaking. But I do agree that, like, if you try and do that sort of stuff,
there'd have to be strong guerrillas, wouldn't they, to actually go straight through it?
I think it was just one, just on the back.
One gorilla.
They just sent it on its way. Like,
that's all you need in your movies: one gorilla and a plank.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's a good name for a film.
Want to start filmmaking? A gorilla, a plank, go.
We haven't even got there with the squirrels yet.
Squirrels.
Yeah. The squirrel movie.
Well, we will get there. That's your direction.
I'm waiting for Larry to write it. That's
the squirrel movie.
Yeah, he just
squirrel.
moves stuff about people's houses and spooks them out a bit. Just moves things around. Yeah. That's all. It'd be really good, honestly, Larry. Am I selling it to you? No.
I want to remake Swamp Ape. I want the rights.
They're probably not that expensive.
Do we actually get like a Bigfoot in the UK? We don't really have. We have like Loch Ness monsters, and I don't know if we get anything else.
Big
black dog, the black shark, I suppose.
I don't think we get Baskerville.
Yeah, we have the black shark, which the
they haven't turned up in a while.
Yeah. Anyway, so we rate this and move on. Yeah. So I'm gonna, as I said, 10. It's a 10 all the way, and I like Evil Dead 2 better. And I don't know how I'm gonna get on with that, because how can you rate higher than a 10?
11.
I suppose we'd have to change the ratings just for that film, but. So what are you thinking, Ewan?
It's going to be a 5 for me. Because even though I honestly admire so much about a lot about the production, I'm not a big fan of, like, people sleeping in room. It's it's the kid from the Babadook screaming. It's always where you hear the sort of behind the scenes stuff, and it's the sort of stuff that I loved when I was a teenager. I was like, oh my god, that's amazing. Just like full on commitment to filmmaking and everything like that. And then I was put through 3 years of people trying to do the same thing, and it's not that fun. It's a really quite harrowing in some ways. But
wait till July. I'll put you through the ringer.
Yeah. But I still admire a lot of stuff about it, and you can sort of see the inception of a decent filmmaker through a lot of it. And I think that's what I kind of look at it as in some ways. It's almost like a sort of a museum piece. I'm quite curious to see, because they made a short film before making the film to show to investors and stuff like that. And I'll quite be interested to see that. But yeah, 5 for me. My production, not so much the film.
And Dan, you are right. It's the drink talking now. 5. Jess, don't let me down. Jess, no pressure.
Oh, no.
Tell the truth, Jess.
I decided my score yesterday, so no one's opinions have affected it.
Okay.
A 7.
Oh wow, that's good. Yeah, I'm pleased.
Yeah,
I'm pleased with that.
Not bad.
Leaving it at that.
Yeah,
I'm pleased with that. I think next week it'll be an 8 for you then, 8 or 9. Come on, Larry. Throw out 10 boners. Go on.
Well, I'm gonna give it a 9 because, like you said a minute ago, I really think the first one's great. I really enjoy it. I watch it countless times. I do prefer the second one, which is why, you know, I think you can guess what that score's going to be. But that one I feel like embraced the comedy aspect, which really lends itself to that style of filmmaking and embracing like, hey, this is all, you know, this is you know, a bit mad, and it really, you know, I feel that this one though is, I think, a film that whenever I rewatch it, I just think, yeah, it's I don't think it's meant to be anything else than a very good fun time, and showcasing, you know, a very simple horror story, which I think really works for it. And I think anybody that's going to make a like kind of first time film and stuff, it's definitely one to watch, and just to
what do you
see,
think of the sound? When I love sound anyway, but like when I was there, I really like what they did. I suppose with the technology at the time and for that budget.
Yeah.
I just thought it was just worked so well.
Well, when it's like going through the woods as well, like when the evil, because the evil's very much, we always see it kind of from a POV of it kind of circling the woods and going to people and attacking them. And like you say, the sound is really kind of ominous, and they build upon that as it goes. And obviously in the reimagining, they take it to like nearly an extreme. But yeah, no, I think it's really good. This one's definitely a 9 for me.
That's pretty good then. That's pretty good. That's probably a 7 in total then. 7 or 8. 7, I reckon. That's amazing. I can't wait till next week's Evil Dead 2. Did anyone watch The Night Eats the World?
I've seen it a few times. I think I mentioned it on the last podcast because I didn't think I'd be here when.
So let's move on to Dan's hot pick. Amazing.
I was going to say, I noticed at the very end, just saw your head poke out right before. I was
amazing.
Like, oh.
So Dan's hot pick was The Night Eats the World, which was a French zombie film from, was it 2015? That's what I wrote. I might be wrong. I really like this film. I'd seen it before. It's 2018, it says there. So, I really like this film. The premise being that this guy, let me just read my little. So the morning after a party, a young man wakes up to find Paris invaded by zombies. Most people in Paris wake up to find it's been invaded by zombies, to be honest. So this guy, he goes to meet, I think he's like, he produces music or something, he writes songs or something like that. He's a drummer. And he's left some tapes at his ex-girlfriend's house. So he goes there and they're having a big party. I think he drinks a fair bit and then just falls asleep in one of the rooms. And in the morning, he wakes up to find, well, he's kind of locked in this room. But in the morning, he wakes up to find that there's carnage, blood everywhere, all over these rooms, and everyone's turned, you know, the usual. And he needs to escape from there. And that's basically The Night Eats the World. This film's good. It's okay. It's okay. He takes a lot of risks for a cat, I think. And it's okay. I don't. The one thing I don't know if it was real or not. Do you know the guy? He's got trapped in the elevator or whatever it is. He's got him trapped there, and he's like his friend, isn't he? But he just looks like he wants to eat him all the time, but he can't get out. I don't know if that was real or not, because he does get released at one point, doesn't he?
And he
doesn't attack him. That is real, is it? I didn't know if it was all down to interpretation or not. Do you know what I mean? I couldn't work that out.
Well, no, I think what you mean.
Yeah,
sorry,
I think
exactly
a real zombie that they got. That they just
no, it wasn't real.
Was it?
No, they I think what I really like about this film is that it delves into, if you were by yourself in trapped in your apartment and you've got not a lot of options, and it's very much like delving into madness. Like, you know, how long would you last until you just kind of break? And I don't want to spoil it, but there is a very, very good little twist with a story with another character, which I think without that, this film wouldn't
real?
have worked. No,
that person
I think
real?
they were, well, spoilers, everyone.
Well, let's go spoilers, because like
he meets a girl, and he ends up shooting her essentially, and because he thinks, like, you know, it's one of those like kind of quick instinct moments, and they kind of go through almost I don't want to say a relationship, but they build a friendship, and then it's revealed after you've kind of got invested that she didn't survive the gunshot. He was imagining if they would be friends and what they would say to each other, and I think that without that, this film could have just been like another zombie film. But I think it's one of those that I would recommend to people, because I think what it gets is the zombies are I always love zombie films when the zombies are the backbone of it. Like, okay, it's a zombie film, but then what are you going to do to make it interesting? To what's the social commentary? George A. Romero did that a lot with his Night of the Living Dead series. Consumerism and are the zombies actually the people, and are the people now really the zombies, the out of place? And I think this film does that very well. I also liked how the zombies in this film are not your typical kind of zombies. They don't make a noise. They don't moan.
Yeah, they do a lot of
shout.
They haven't got a tongue or something.
Yeah, it's almost like their voice box almost is just gone.
Yeah.
So it's very just like teeth chattering, and when you're looking down there, all the hands are up, like, trying to get you. There's no sound. So it's that really atmospheric kind of filmmaking that lends itself to the plot. There's another film that's very similar, and it's a South Korean film.
Yeah.
And it's almost the exact same premise, except different things. What I would recommend is that I'd need to find the name of it, but it's very similar. Like, even the title, I think it's like The Night of the Dead or something. But it's literally the same premise, but they tackle it in two different ways. One is very much social media and how you would connect in a zombie apocalypse over social media, whereas this one is, well, what do you do if you're just dead alone and there's just nobody and any hope of getting out? So yeah, I would give it a 7. I think it's good.
Yeah, I'm the same, 7. I know it's one of Dan's favorites.
It is very good. It's very well shot.
But it's about the second or third time I watched it, so it was definitely on the radar. It was good. Are you saying that girl's not real or not?
Well, she is real when they first meet.
He killed her the first time.
After the shot. Sorry guys, if you're gonna plan to watch this, Jess and you, but
I'm not gonna watch it. Yeah, it's been ruined.
No, it's
you'll forget by tomorrow, Jess. Don't worry. Watch it.
The lost brain
cells. But no, it's she is real. It's just he imagines, because it skips ahead.
There is a scene where she looks dead.
Yeah.
But I still wasn't sure. I thought, well, I'm sure Larry will explain what's going on, because I ain't got a clue.
When I watched it the thing is, though, it is confusing, because I will agree with you. This film does do stuff where it tries to make you feel mad, because you think, oh, is that real? And then you go like, nah, it can't be. And then it shows it is real. And then something else, you think, oh, is that just in his head and how he perceives this is going? And so it does really lend itself to it's basically a film of if you were just isolated in a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah. So Dan has put it's his hot pick. So he's put it's kind of slow and a different kind of zombie movie, but it was good. And he would have gone crazy after 2 days. And he did think that the girl was really weird, as most girls are. But then he understood what was going on.
Well, what lends itself to that comment is it's the main character's opinion of what he believes she would be. So if you rewatch it, their conversation is only like obviously a few sentences, and then what we believe is that she's complete, healed and everything, But
yeah, one for Jess.
It's actually gin.
Jess will lose more brain cells with that glass. Yeah, she's drinking gin.
Okay, everyone on the count of
That
three.
is literally
finish your
just gin,
drinks.
I would have thought.
I'm going out later, right?
I had a chat with Dan on Twitter, and the sadness. Now, I know I kind of raved about it with you guys, and I don't know if you've watched it or not, but that is Dan's hot pick next week. I think it's on Shudder, Jess. So log in to my account, and I think you should watch it with your fella. There's no goriness in it or anything, so get on it. You need to watch it, Larry. If you haven't, this is right
I've got it.
I've
got it. I've got it in my Internet Plus library.
It's right up your street. It's a story of a virus, very much kind of in the COVID vein, but it isn't COVID. You need to see it. It's spectacular. I think it's the best film I've seen this year. It's just amazing. It's Chinese. Honestly,
I did have that as well. I did
very
have that
violent.
kind of hot take.
Yeah, it's very violent, and there are some scenes that are difficult to watch, but it is just something else. So yeah, please watch it next. I want to chat with you. I'm interested to know what you think.
I'll make sure to watch it.
Yeah. So let's again move on to what we watched this week.
What have you been watching?
No, seriously, what have you been watching?
Right. Because we were meant to record Monday, I've stuck a few more things in. So what I originally sent you, Jess, I've kind of probably not.
Oh yeah, shit! I didn't send you anything, Jess. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, you got a lot of it.
No, the first thing I watched this with my 13-year-old. Again, I bought this because it was reduced on iTunes, so I bought Host. Anyone with kind of Shudder would have seen it, which is let me bring up me thing again. The old
is this which one is this? Because there's a lot of films that are called. There's one that's called The Host. Then there's Host. Then there's another.
This is Host. No, we're not Host. We spoke to the directors of Host and interviewed them and had a good chat with them. But this is Host, and we actually touched upon that. Host wasn't the greatest name for a massive film at the time when Host had just come out. 6 friends accidentally invite the attention of a demonic presence during an online seance and begin noticing strange occurrences in their house. So this was literally a couple of pounds for me. So I bought it. I think most of the cast are British. They have a. Is it on Zoom or something? Is it like a Zoom thing where they get like a clairvoyant on or someone that can raise the dead, and speak to them? So they're all on it, and I think, they're trying to talk to someone from the dead. Someone from the dead gets through and terrorizes them. And it is very, very. It's like obviously it looks like found footage, which it is. It's just a zoom. The whole thing's like this. Those at home, we are watching the trailer to this film. It's amazing. It's 8, 9 out of 10. My 13-year-old watched it with me. Towards the end, he was a bit kind of spooked by it, because a lot is going on in the background and things. When you've got 6 people, that's some of the stuff you can see on screen. Is just the video in your phone edit and stuff. But there is a lot going on in the background, and a lot of people may die. Who knows?
This reminds me of another film that came out called was it Friend something? Friend Zone?
Friends,
or
Uninvited.
Uninvited.
Unfriended.
Unfriended. There you go.
Friend zoned, uninvited.
Friends. That's a friend zone. Yeah, that's a It's not that though. They're literally doing like it's kind of like a Ouija board, I suppose. Someone's hosting it, and they're all sat round and they're asking these things questions, and they're all meant to not hold hands, but not be part of the group and not lie and stuff like that. And they invite some kind of very evil presence into their How it works, I don't know. But it's. Have you've not seen it, Larry?
No.
It is fantastic. I think it's like 90% rotten. It's up there.
Okay. I'll give it a watch. I'll
Definitely worth a visit, and one I'd like to do on a podcast one day. Another one I watched, because what did we watch the other week? It was like Slacks, wasn't it? I watched Slacks. So I thought, well, this time, Jess, you know what Slacks is about? It's about some killer jeans.
Yeah, that's the one I've been really wanting to watch.
Yeah, it's really good. That was Dan's hot pick last week. I think you missed it. So I watched Killer Sofa, which was on Prime. So there's, I get this.
What happens?
Oh, mate. So let me get me a little banner up because it's worth explaining. Right. A killer reclining chair becomes enchanted by a girl and starts committing crimes of passion. So I think this girl with very long legs and very small shorts sits on this chair a lot. And the chair starts. Yes, it's a what they call that in America.
Well, I call it an armchair, but
it's an armchair or a single seat sofa or.
I've never heard that before. I've never heard single seat sofa.
Well, I don't know. Maybe they do in America, you know, but we call it an armchair, wouldn't we? And it kills people. It's possessed, and it seems to be able to move itself about. It seems to be able to get around rooms. It likes this girl who's got really nice legs. She was great. And it was very entertaining. I got a bit confused. See there, long legs. I got a bit confused and it kills people. And it was a lot of fun. I don't think, what Rotten Tomatoes, I don't think it did amazingly well. But yeah, completely, utterly batshit crazy, it said. Enjoyed that one. That kept me entertained. I think that was
What happens if you climb a ladder? Does it?
Does it climb?
Oh, right.
It can climb. It can climb the ladder.
I don't think it had that much movement. It seems it's possessed, this sofa, by a presence. As she was trying to set it on fire there, but killer sofa, yeah. It's this. I watched some weird.
But it's so funny.
I watched some weird shit lately. Right, I'm going to tell you one more because I got more than that, but as we've had a kind of nearly a week off, I watched Dead Man's Shoes, Jess. So, okay. A disaffected soldier returns to his hometown to get even with the thugs who brutalized his mentally challenged brother years ago. This film has got a twist as well, which I won't tell you. I bought it on Blu-ray because there's a girl called Kelly on Twitter. She's quite up on it on there. She posts lots of bits and, you know, we follow her. And she mentioned this film. And I thought, when she mentioned it, I thought, that is a fantastic film. So it was literally a few quid on Blu-ray. So I ordered it. And it is a Shane Meadows film. You did This Is England, is it? And
yeah.
And the actors in it are amazing. All of them, actually. And it's a story of a guy who returns from the army. His brother has been kind of bullied or whatever by these fellas, and it's his revenge. It's very, very funny at times. It's ridiculous at times. Because these guys are meant to be gangsters that we can see on screen, and the cars they're driving about in and where they live and the way they dress. It doesn't suit it at all. It's like thinking they're big time gangsters when they're not. But this guy, the soldier, he don't fuck about. Right? What they've done to his brother, he's not messing about. It's time to pay the piper.
I find it. Sorry to interrupt, but I find it quite interesting with the trailer how it's like edited together. It makes it look like it's more sort of like Hollywood horror.
Yeah, that it is.
And it is, but it's a far more
slow,
sort of more social realism, and far more like that. Pretty much is what typically Shane Meadows is known for, and it's much more muted and therefore much more frightening in some ways, I think.
And it's very funny, isn't it? Like there are some scenes in it, especially the one right at the beginning where they first see him, where matey with the hat on, he's selling drugs in the pub, and he's kind of staring at him, and matey says, "What the fuck you staring at?" And he's, not, excuse my language out there, but he says, "You fucking cunt," and like, it just captures his absolute hatred for these people and what he's going to do for them quite early on in the film. And I just love this film, and I've watched it probably 10 times over the years. I now bought it, and I will revisit it a lot because it's just, I don't think I'll ever get bored of it. And there is a twist in it. And if you haven't seen it, especially the Americans, I got you guys probably haven't seen this, probably not you either, Dan. And Dead Man's Shoes, it's just a fantastic film.
I think the twist as well is you don't see it coming. It's not one of those that you'd instantly be like, "Oh, okay, I know the twist," and it just lends itself to the plot.
And it is just brilliant. So, so like the Dan's put on there that Swamp 8 Killer Safe, Kev is all about highbrow flicks. Well, I am, Dan. You know me. You watch Dead Man's Shoes, proper highbrow. But I do like watching stupid films sometimes. I don't want to have to think too much.
Birdemic 1 and 2.
Birdemic 1 and 2. And Jess made us watch a film called Core, wasn't it? Which is one of Jess's favourite films. Core.
Forgot about that one.
Yeah.
I always forget the name of it.
Yep. And the one about the Velocipasta.
Velocipasta, yeah.
Velocipasta was amazing. So Dan's put on air, cunt is a Swedish word for the corner of a table. So there's no need to apologise. So you're just throwing, every time you mention the corner of a table, you're throwing cunts about.
No. That's what Dan's friends are telling him.
the biggest prank.
Yeah, you corner of a table, Dan. I know there's a German footballer called Cunt as well. I remember seeing it, or Cunt, something like that.
I mean, there's Kunst and Kant as well.
So that's what I watched. There was a few other bits I watched, and I might save them for when I've got much else to talk about. So I'm pretty sure after nearly 2 weeks that you've all got lots to talk about. Let's start with you, because
sure. I mean, I'll only do a few. So this week I've been sort of,
and I hope my kids are not watching this, because I'm really sorry about, other than Jess, obviously, throwing the C bombs about.
Well, it's fine to say it in front of me.
So
well, you're 45 now, so I don't mind. So.
Jesus. I feel it.
So I've been watching things to do with Top Gun, well, basically Top Gun. It's funny, really. So I rewatched the first Top Gun. I don't really understand the Top Gun phenomena, to be honest. I don't get why people like it. Really, I think it's very silly. I think it's quite indulgent. I think the plane scenes are done very well and they're well choreographed and everything, but it's very much I think it's a very dated 80s movie, just because there's just so many things about it that just like lost me and annoyed me.
Can I ask Dan what he thinks of Top Gun?
Yeah.
Dan, come on, let us know.
And there's just so much. It was funny because I sort of watched it again. I didn't really like it the first time, to be honest, but I watched it again to sort of go, because I was going to watch the sequel Maverick later in the week. Interestingly, I was not holding up much hope for the sequel because I didn't like the first one, and there's so much positivity around Maverick that I almost wanted to hate it. I know that's like an awful thing for a critic to say, because you're supposed to go in fly, but it just like all the press around it was just really annoyed me that everyone really liked this film, and that Tom Cruise is at Cannes at the moment sort of promoting it, and they're giving him such like swathes of praise. They gave him like an honorary Palme d'Or and gave a 6-minute standing ovation to Top Gun Maverick, and I'm just like, what? Why? What are you? Why? I want to know. I mean, I know this is probably just because like Cam are trying to be buddies with Tom Cruise, which I don't think is is the most respectable thing to do. But I went to see Maverick. it was on a massive IMAX screen, which I think if you're going to see Maverick, you should probably see it on the biggest screen with the biggest sound system possible. And I enjoyed it more than I thought that I would. I actually think it's a much better movie than the first Top Gun. I think there are so many things that, I mean, a lot of the 80s cheese is understandably taken out because we live in I would say, a more evolved time. But it's sort of, I mean, there is still there's still that cheese, and there's the sort of quippy lines, and they also try and sort of like match the first one in terms of like story beats. So it's like even like the first scene, like he's sent back to Top Gun mirrors almost exactly why he's sent to Top Gun in the first film. Even like the boss in charge is also a bald man, Ed Harris, which sort of matches the bald guy in the first. It's a really strange. And they also like play sports in the sand under the sun.
Oh, did they bring that back?
Yeah, but not volleyball. But yeah, they sort of it's sort of in the sand. But again, I'm just sort of like, yeah. My reaction was I just put my head in my hand. I was just like, oh. But and then he's got a new relation. Like basically, the plot of the film is that he's being called back to Top Gun as a punishment for something he did, and he has to train these soldiers to drop a very precise bomb on this underground uranium plant somewhere. And they're including part of the team is Miles Teller playing Rooster, who's the son of Goose, who was Maverick's flying partner, who suddenly died, and there's like tension between them as well. And I think the main reason why this film is better is because there is a focus and there's a plot. And I think with the first one that there was very little plot at all. It was just like, oh, look at these men and their muscles, and look how they look how they look at each other. There's a weird homoeroticism to the first one, which I mean, I like if that film was made today, it was like, okay, these guys are all gay, and that's their thing. But because it was made in 1986, it's sort of like you don't. I mean, it's almost like they're not even aware of the fact that it's homoerotic. It's a really weird thing. But with this one, it was sort of like the focus was interesting. It's weird that it's still mostly men. I think there's only one woman there, and you just like it's been over 30 years. How many? Bring some more women into Top Gun for Christ's sake. But
flying planes.
Yeah, it was sort of
women.
Yes, as bizarre as it sounds, Kev. Oh dear. But I will say I was very taken with the third act of the film. I think they really pulled together in terms of like the final showdown, and we've been sort of building for like an hour and a half to this point where they finally do the mission. Again, that's part of the reason why I didn't like the sort of Top Gun phenomena, is because it's just basically hours of training exercises, and I'm just like, I want to get to the actual action.
Can I ask, when you went to see Doctor Strange, did you have the same thing I had, where they showed like a 5-minute, 7-minute clip from Maverick? Because I when I saw Doctor Strange the first time, the clip was fucked. Like it didn't work. It was just going black and then coming back on. And then second time I saw it, I got to see it in full, and I was like, that's actually pretty good when I can actually bloody watch it.
Yeah, no, I didn't get that. I mean, it was also quite interesting how they like filmed it, because they actually like trained the actors to be in the planes so that they could deal with the conditions. They were other than Tom Cruise, who does everything and flies whatever he wants. The actors themselves, they didn't fly; they just got in with pilots. But even then, but that lends a certain intimacy, because there's like close-ups of them in the planes.
Tom Cruise flew the planes.
Yeah.
Well, he loves flying.
He's
He
got
does
a license.
He does it all on the Mission Impossible. In the recent Mission Impossible, he flew the helicopter
I
and all
didn't know that.
He is an insane person. As long as I
want to sit him down and just be like, calm down.
calm down. But yeah, the final showdown is directed so well and written so well. I think it benefits that the script was co-written by Christopher McQuarrie, who did the last few Mission Impossible films, because I think the type of action and coordination is very sort of, it's almost balletic in that same way. And I watched this sequence, and I'm like, I'm almost forgetting the hours of nonsense that came beforehand, and I'm just like, okay, I'm going to embrace this. And then obviously towards the end, it pretty much matches the end of the first Top Gun movie, where they sort of hug, and you're just sort of like, okay, all right, fine.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
Spoilers just in case. I mean, don't answer if you don't want to. I'm guessing somebody bites the dust in it from their team. Is it all right to say yeah or no, or is that technically like
I haven't seen it yet? Actually, so I'm not watching it. So
is it okay? I have a theory of just from that one clip I watched in the cinema, which they showed like a hefty amount, but I have a feeling.
Yeah. But I did overall, I did enjoy it. I still think people enjoy it more than it deserves to be. Like in the screening I was at, which I suppose was like a preview screening, so obviously people were either fans or critics or whatever. But they applauded like 5 times during the film, and I'm just like, why? Just sort of just go for it. I mean, there was one time when I did applaud, and that was when like in the credits they did like a dedication to Tony Scott, and I was like, okay, I'll clap for this, because fair enough, it's Tony Scott.
A great director.
So yeah, I enjoy. I think if you're a Top Gun fan, this is definitely for you.
Why would you clap?
Well, it's a good question, but people get really excited when things go well in these sorts of movies, and people are really attached to the characters. And in fairness, it's a well-rounded experience in some ways. I think in some ways you should probably watch this in like 4DX to get the full roller coaster experience. I think it'd be quite good for that. But yeah, I don't understand. There's so many sort of 5-star reviews coming out, and admittedly they're all coming from the same sort of classic sort of over 40s middle-aged white men. So, and I think that's probably the key demographic for this film. It's a very much a dad movie.
I pretty much guarantee you I would not be giving this 10 bonus.
I'm waiting. I was going to say, I'm waiting now. You're going to come out of it and be like 10 out of 10.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a decent cinema experience. It's just one that I just don't see why lots of people love it. Dan just said,
have you seen Top Gun, Jess? Have you seen Top Gun?
Nope.
No, I wouldn't have made you watch that. So,
we watched Jurassic Park over and over and over again.
Yeah, but that's worth watching over again, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's why I have a weird obsession with dinosaurs.
That's my favorite film of all time, Jurassic Park.
That's probably one of mine as well.
Film. It's literally like on the top, my number one. It's never changed.
So Dan's put, what the hell is wrong with middle-aged white men over 40? Which me and Dan are.
What's not wrong with middle-aged white men over 40?
Oh my God.
And just first-hand
what's
experience.
not wrong with us, Dan? What is not wrong with us?
I think I should also mention I saw a film called Benediction last night. It's a very sort of slow and somber movie in some ways. It's about the World War I poet Siegfried Sassoon. It's directed by Terence Davies. And it's a really interesting movie because it's a biopic and a period drama, but Terence Davies doesn't follow the sort of usual conventions of these things. He's sort of, because when you expect a period drama, you expect sort of garish scenery, shots that encapsulate everything. But he's very sort of muted director. He sort of like lets everything sort of happen. And it's a really good movie, and it's obviously understandably quite poignant in times. But what I didn't expect was that it was actually really, really funny. It's because it's about Siegfried Sassoon, who, you know, went through the trenches and even was a conscientious objector at one point. But he also had quite a sort of like a dramatic romance life, because he was a gay man, and, you know, in a period when gay men weren't considered acceptable, and he's sort of navigating these different relationships with sort of quite awful people, and it's actually quite a funny experience. And I mention it now because it probably won't do that well at the box office. I mean, compared to Top Gun anyway, but it's sort of but I recommend it. Benediction is really good. I also maybe to segue to you, Lawrence. Dad's just said a dad movie. Ewan is on the shit list from now on. I don't mind being on that shit list.
Join me, Ewan. I think I'm on that shit list.
Just as maybe to segue to you, Lawrence, because you saw it this week. I rewatched. I rewatched Everything Everywhere All at Once again. It's a great movie. It's a great movie, and I thought it was even better the second time. I would still consider it sort of like 9 out of 10 for me.
What are you watching that on? What's that?
The cinema. The cinema.
You have to go
the cinema.
You have to do the sit down stuff.
You have to do the sit down stuff. But it's a wonderful, multiversal, weird, baffling experience that has nearly had me in tears. I reckon if I watched it by myself a third time, I probably would be in tears. But I have a weird thing of crying in front of people. I don't know what it is, but it's sort of like. But yeah, I really anyone who hasn't seen it, I would really recommend go see it.
Wow. I'll be seeing that soon. Need to. So who we got left? Larry? So I don't expect Jess has watched anything, have you, Jess? No. Yeah, so Larry.
So yeah, I watched Everything Everywhere All at Once. It was amazing.
Is that the one that can bring you to tears sometimes?
I wept like a absolute SOB.
It's quite heartfelt then.
I'm not going to say it because I think Ewan will agree with me. I don't know. Actually, it's a good question actually for Ewan because I think I put this in our group chat, but I don't think the twist is, and I will say that this film does. There is a twist because the trailers kind of give you a kind of this is what's going on, but I found that just from the very opening shot, which is amazing in itself, of how it just switches.
Yeah,
and I was like, I know the twist. It's fine, but this film, what I think is so fantastic about it, and again, A24. So just to hype them up once more, it is phenomenal. It is fantastic, and it's definitely I don't.
What genre is it?
It's like a drama, sci-fi adventure film, really. But yeah, I was not as fortunate to go to the cinema because I couldn't.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
But yeah, it was amazing. I was really blown away by how good it was. I thought from the trailers, I thought it would be good, but yeah, I mean, I can't really say too much about it without spoiling. So I'm not going to.
I would like to watch it.
But it was one. It's one that I would say. I thought it was absolutely fantastic, and I think the acting in it, the direction, and again, made by 5 guys. Five, you know,
the burger
does
people.
the visual effects anyway, yeah.
Well, yeah, no, just
the
like
guys who make burgers.
No, not 5.
So I had a 5 Guys last week for the first time. It was very nice. And do you know what they did with my burger? Have a guess.
Did they cook it?
No, they wrapped it in tin foil.
Yeah, tin foil.
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
It's amazing.
And they
it's amazing what you can do.
And they made this film, which is incredible.
No, it's I think when you see it and you watch the visual effects, especially, and I would recommend anyone who's seen it just to go onto YouTube once you've seen it and just type in, the title, and it'll come up. And there was like an exclusive that they talked to the people who did the special effects and, the direction, and just to watch how, again, it's the kind of thing of like, I don't want to say guerrilla filmmaking, but it's how to do something very well.
These gorillas.
No, it's a thing that I would say to anybody that, like, even if you have a really big idea, there are ways to do it on a budget, and there are ways to do it.
Is it a budget film?
Creative.
This one.
Well, I don't know. Like, it's A24, so like A24 are kind of synonymous with like allowing
huge budget.
They're sort of not low, but they're sort of middle, I guess. Maybe like 10 million or 15 million or 20 million or something like that.
But it's just amazing because when you do watch it and you see what they've done and how emotional it is and how great the story is and how the effects lend themselves to the story, I would just say to anybody that if you've got an idea and you're like, I want to make it, this is a perfect film to kind of look at and say, "Oh, how do I do it creatively and not just think, you know?" Because you look at something like, and I think I said this to in the group chat as well. My stance on Doctor Strange has not changed. Like, I still think it's an 8 out of 10, maybe 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10. But I will happily agree that if you want to see a film that does the multiverse perfectly of what it should be, it's this film, because I gave this film, I think, a 10 out of 10. As soon as I got to that third act, I was just like, this is such a wholesome film that
there's
really
no
does
time
need to be
loops in it, is
watched.
there?
Sort of, but it's all explained. But it's all explained so well.
So I understand what's going on.
Yeah. Well, no, yeah, like literally, it does such a good job of kind of going like, this is the story. This is what's happening.
That would suit me if someone explains it. Or
I would also like to say, sort of almost an antithesis to what Lawrence just said. If you ended up, if you didn't like Doctor Strange and you thought it was a load of muddling nonsense and you've sworn off multiversal movies, don't swear off multiversal movies. Watch everything everywhere all at once.
Yeah, I can actually agree with that. I think one thing I said, which I still stand by, is this film lends itself more to the multiverse of madness. Like, I found that the title for that was like, oh, this is perfect, this fits that film. And I think Doctor Strange, I think a lot of Marvel fans, and I've seen this a lot recently, I think a lot of Marvel fans were expecting so many so many that's one of my reviews today. My deep throat movie.
Yeah, Larry's having a deep throat movie made. Oh dear.
It's going to be good. I better get 10 out of 10 boners.
You will. You'll get 10 boners from me and Dan anyway. Don't worry about that.
I had 10 boners on the day. Another film I watched, which I don't think I mentioned. I don't think I mentioned.
Larry gets an anal probe. Yeah, that's
a sequel.
That's a different one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a part 1 and part 2. Another film I watched, which I didn't mention last time on the podcast, was Ambulance by Michael Bay.
I want to see
and
that.
I actually think that Michael Bay, for this film, it's not perfect. It's not gonna win any awards, but I think if you watch it, you'll kind of get that sense of, oh, okay, this is kind of like back to what he knows he can do without, very simple story. I don't think it's perfect, but I had a very good time watching it, and I think that it's just a bit of fun. But I think that, like, Michael Bay got kind of drowned out by these Transformer films where he just kind of wanted to go bigger and bigger and bigger, and they got more stupid.
Are any of them in it? Bumblebee in it? Are they in it, or is it just literally just
No, it's a very
crossover kind of transforming ambulance?
No, I feel like that would have destroyed me if I was watching it. No, it's good. It's good. It's very much an action film. That's the best way to put it. If you go in expecting like, I want to be like moved, or I want to have a really great story that's gonna just connect. It's not. But I think that what Michael Bay does.
I'm trying to imagine the people who are moved by a Michael Bay movie.
Some of the scenes in the first one moved me. First Transformers.
Yeah, but the first Transformers is admittedly the best one, and then he just went down a very horrible route of just almost, it's not about the story, it's just about what you can shove on the screen. But what I liked about this is that Michael Bay is very much I want to use the newest technology, or what can we do that's more innovative. And I think that with this film, he does a really good job. And then the only other two really quick is Love, Death and Robot. Love, Death and Plus Robots, which came out today. Binge watched the whole season. It's fantastic. I mean, literally, David Fincher. I don't know how much creative input he has, but it's fantastic, and I think it allows for short films to be showcased that aren't necessarily just live action. They're, people in the visual effects industry, and I honestly would say if you're into visual effects or anything like that, just give them a watch, because they're really good stories. And then my last one that I watched was The Northman, which I thought was really, really good, although it does not beat The Lighthouse for me, sadly. I think what it's...
I ain't watching that then. It's not as good as The Lighthouse. What's the point?
No, I think...
If you would like it,
I was going to say, you'll like it better then, definitely. But I feel like what it's missing is it's missing... I don't know if Ewan agrees, but I feel like it's missing an element that The Witch, The Lighthouse, whether or not you like whichever one better, but I feel like it's missing that almost independent filmmaker angle. And I don't get me wrong, The Northman, it's fantastic. The person I watched it with was like, this is amazing. They were like, this is fantastic. It's better than The Lighthouse.
Was that a 15?
The Northman.
Yeah. It was an 18.
It's a 15. It's very good. It's just, I think that if you're into Norse mythology and you're into that sort of, you have any sort of background on it, even if it's just like, I like certain things in that time period, it is, for me, it's a very cutthroat film. It's like, oh, this is where you think it's going to go. There you go. And I was a bit like, okay, great.
Is there a supernatural element?
Yeah.
There is, and but that's something that if I could give it one criticism, why it doesn't get a 10 out of 10, because it was fantastic and I really enjoyed it, and I think the acting was great, and just the dedication that Robert Eggers puts into historical accuracy is just, whether or not you like his films or not, he goes all in on it. But for a film called The Northman about Norse mythology, I did kind of sit there thinking, there are certain parts, without spoiling it, which involves witchcraft. And I was very much like, give me more of that. I was like, please give me more of this. And it would just very much show it on for 5 seconds and then be like, nah, fuck it. Let's move on. And it was
I might take my boy to see it. That sounds like right my street.
It is a good film.
Yeah. It's very good.
And I think you're right. Like, I think like those sort of indie expectations are kind of difficult to get past. But I think it is a film that I think Hollywood movies should aspire to in some ways. I think if they made more movies like that, it would be a better industry for everyone.
Well, no, I think you nailed it on the head there. Like, I think that the Northman is kind of like, it's more Hollywood-esque, but it's Hollywood-esque that you'd want to see more of in the cinema. Whereas some Hollywood films just do not give that much of a shit, and they just kind of go, oh, big budget, look at this cool shot. And it's like, this film, more films like this. I did. Heartbroken. I actually want to ask Jess, have you seen Doctor Strange yet?
Well, I'm meant to be seeing it on Sunday. So
this will be fun.
Great.
Yeah.
It's great. Just don't, all I'm gonna say is just, and I'd say this to anybody, don't go into it expecting, because I've seen a lot of Marvel fans say this. They're like, oh, it's shit. And it's like, okay. And there is some genuine criticism on the film, like, and I agree, pacing is a huge thing for me. This film, just Doctor Strange, just kind of, it's because so many things have been cut from it that the pacing is all over the show. But I saw like one comment that was like, oh, I wanted, and they named like, God, the list was huge on a comment. And they're like, for a film called Multiverse is nothing. Where's Deadpool? And it's like, well, and it's like, okay. I'm like, okay, but the film is not meant to be that. Yes, I agree the title does lend itself to you expect something like that, but Jess, the only advice I'd give you is just go in expecting Doctor Strange 2 and just take it for what it is, because I've just seen loads of fans be like, oh, this character didn't show up, it's shit. And it's like, no, that to me, that's not a criticism, that's just being bummed.
I feel like everyone's expectations are going to be Spider-Man. Like, everyone wants that, but
yeah. Look,
what did you want?
You just don't get that. You get good cameos, but you just don't.
Yeah,
it's not that level of. It's not Doctor Strange Endgame. It's Doctor Strange 2.
Jess, did you watch anything?
To be honest, the only things I've had the energy to watch or do the past couple of weeks is watch anime and play Minecraft. So
Minecraft.
That's it.
That's very therapeutic.
Well, yeah.
Not really watched anything else.
You need to watch,
Sadly.
Dan's hot pick for next week, The Sadness.
I know. Yeah.
I think you should. I think it is graphic and quite brutal at times, but it's well worth a watch because I think it's brilliant. I'm going to watch it again. I'm not sure when we're going out live next. It won't be this weekend, I don't think. So probably the following. We'll come up with something. Maybe go back to Sundays. And next episode, our episode 82, will be Evil Dead 2. Yeah, I don't know where that's available. I own it. But I'm sure you'll find it somewhere, you guys. So if you want to follow us on Twitter, it's the Bones Horror Pod. You can email us at boneshorrorpod@gmail.com. Instagram, Bones Horror Pod. I think that's about it, really. And we've been on there for an hour and a half. And hopefully this episode will do as well as we had well over 1,000 views on our last Evil Dead one. So that'd be great if we can get back up to there. So thank you, everyone, for listening and watching. And what's that? Skip Naruto, Jess. It's sadness time. And I think
I need to finish.
fuck Naruto. That's what my son watches, that shit. What's the other one where they got no genitals? Where they got no genitals? What's that called? He watches
Attack on Titan.
Smurf. Attack on Titan.
Attack on
Titan.
Yeah.
Attack on Titan. It's big giants with no balls.
Tell him I'm currently watching 7 Deadly Sins.
7 Deadly Sins.
Yes.
Are they doing an actual film of Attack on Titans? Real action one, I've heard, or they have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There's part one. It came out a while. It's not great. It's just not. I don't watch the one series that I tried to watch 2 and it just didn't go. Like I watched Death Note. Death Note was all right.
I like is that a film? That's a real film.
There is a film of it.
Yeah, I like that.
Films.
I like Death Note film.
There's so many different.
No, it's a proper film. I won't be watching on something.
Yeah, and then the other one is I don't know, something like where they're all in a game.
Yeah,
they're all in like a big Sword Art Online. That was
maybe I'll watch it and explain it all to you, Larry, and you might understand. So you never know. So.
if you watch all of those and explain every episode to me, I will be very impressed.
There is some great horror animes, though.
I'd like to.
Oh no, yeah. There's
anime.
there are.
Send me some
really
links,
good.
Jess. I'm up for that.
Okay.
I'm up for that. Okay, so yeah, we'll see you all next week, and appreciate you listening and watching. Give us a review. Thanks, everyone. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
You're ignorant.